27 goals hit the net in week 30. There's no hiding place for some clubs. Every point is precious now. The latest ups and downs from all three divisions are on the way. And we mark the end of an Anfield era with a classic goal rush from 1986.
It's played across for Rush. That's another one, and that will make it safe for Liverpool.
But we kick off at the top. At the start of the season, many people had Derby County down for a transitional season. Now it seems they're a club in a hurry. They've been the team to catch over the last few months, but not only does the Premiership beckon, now it seems they're set for a new stadium.
Oh yes, McCollum, right on the post. And that is Hector, and they've got their four. And it's come for Hinton. Oh yes, that will do for Alan Hinton.
We won the championship, the league championship, twice in the 70s. Those were great glory days. But really, as far as money's concerned about the future and everything, going for a brand new stadium, actually just on the outskirts of the city, just a mile from the centre and just off the motorway, is brilliant. It really is going to be one of the best. Well, it's going to be the best thing that's happened to Derby County ever.
And it's all been so uncomplicated. The baseball ground has been Derby's home for more than a century, and the club were all set to upgrade it. Then Pride Park was earmarked for redevelopment as part of the Millennium bid. And after just 5 weeks of negotiation, the City Council, the developers and the club agreed to make it Derby's new home. Work begins in the summer on a £16 million, 30,000-seater stadium, to be modelled on Middlesbrough's Riverside Stadium, which opened last year.
Like Middlesbrough, people do know the value of football. They've had a lot of great football here, and they do know what it means to the people of Derby. And they saw a chance to support us and give us a deal that we could handle, and I think if we can all work together, because there's no doubt about it, they're a successful football club, makes everybody smile and makes everybody happy at work.
And Jim Smith's influence on the new stadium shouldn't be underestimated. The developers might not have been so enthusiastic had Derby's team still been in the state of depression that began with defeat in the 1994 playoff final and lingered throughout last season. Lionel Pickering had invested £12 million on players who were simply not performing, and thousands of disillusioned fans stayed away. This season's speed of change has reconvinced them.
We pumped a lot of money into this club 4 years ago, and we should. I mean, we were really trying to buy promotion, and it didn't work. So obviously they were disappointed. We were all disappointed. And what happened was at the beginning of this season we had to start again, right from scratch.
I mean, we've sold 1,000 season tickets this week. There's no club doing 1,000 season tickets this week. And we've done that with no discount whatsoever. It's actually like buying tickets in advance. But people know they've got to do that now to be sure of being in here, because we're limited to 17,000 people, which is not enough for Derby.
Igor Stimac is the player many of them want to see. Captain of the Croatia side for Euro 96 and more popular than the previous team put together so expensively. They've sold out of Croatia shirts in the Derby club shop. In November, Stimac scored on his debut a 5-1 defeat at Tranmere. Derby haven't lost a league game since. A full to the brim baseball ground must have something to do with that run as well. It won't be easy to recreate that special atmosphere in the new stadium. And on Saturday, Derby's expectant support played a big part. Huddersfield were in front after just 2 minutes when Stimac went to sleep. Andy Booth swept in the cross. Rudely awakened, the league leaders asserted themselves with another of Smith's foreign contingent, the Dutchman Robbie van der Laan at the centre of things. His pass stretched the Huddersfield defence. From Dean Sturridge's cross, Paul Simpson turned in a goal to justify his selection ahead of Marco Gabbiadini. His contribution wasn't finished, and neither was van der Laan's. 9 minutes later, the Dutchman was up in support to score the sort of goal Charlie George or Kevin Hector would have been delighted with. The second half was less fluent. Both sides got tough. Yet Derby looked to have shrugged off Huddersfield's robust challenge when Simpson thumped in another high-quality goal. But the scoring pattern was a repeat of the previous Saturday's narrow win over Portsmouth. From Lee Makel's cross, Ben Thornley nipped in to head his first goal since signing on loan from Manchester United. It made the last 9 minutes rather more anxious than they should have been for Jim Smith, but his side dug in to extend their unbeaten league run to 19 matches. Surely a place in the Premiership will be theirs now.
When I was at Portsmouth, we ended up with 88 points and didn't go up. I think if we got 88 points this year, we'd definitely be the champions. Looking at how tight it's going to be, and it's going to be very tight. And we've got, without a shadow of doubt, Sunderland and Charlton breathing down our necks, and it's going to be very interesting last few games.
While Sunderland are emerging as Derby's closest challengers, Roger Thames is the commentator.
Gray. To roll his man. Looks it back for Scott. Bracewell. Agnew wants it on the far side, looking to get round the back of the defence. Got up well for it. Russell trying to stretch. It's a goal. It's Kevin Ball. Kevin Ball, the skipper, coming through the middle there. Right up with the play and giving the Roker men the lead. Livingston, Charles has got away and through here. Forrester in the middle. That's got to be equalising now. Given a marvellous save. Southall was just lining up his shot then, and you thought that had goal written all over it. Shay Given, though, had definitely other ideas. Ball knocking it forward. Russell give it a chase. Oh, and Crichton's missed that one. Can Russell get to this one? That's a gift, and Russell has accepted it gratefully. That's 2-0 now, and suicide stuff from Crichton. Really is a skipper in every sense, Kevin Ball. It was man of the match against Ipswich recently. As Phil Gray tries one. Oh, that's an absolutely astonishing goal from Phil Gray. Absolutely out of the blue, and it wraps it up in some style. Kubicki. Not had the best of reputations on televised matches, Sunderland, in the past, but they've absolutely got that one right today. And a great away performance, and not over yet. He leaves it, and it's 4! And Michael Bridges has done it again! Super sub!
2 years ago, defeat in the FA Cup signalled a slide out of the promotion running for Charlton. The signs were rather ominous again on Saturday. Having taken the lead via Portsmouth's Guy Butters, nothing went right. Midfielder Keith Jones won't play again this season after fracturing a cheekbone. Soon after his departure, Portsmouth's 19-year-old striker Dion Burton got to work. His first was well taken. His second was another indication of Burton's real promise and Portsmouth's growing belief that they can make the playoff positions. He's had no money to spend, yet Lou Macari is maintaining Stoke's unlikely push for promotion. Stoke defended solidly and counter-attacked at pace, with Simon Sturridge at the sharp end. Kevin Keane, playing his first game for 6 weeks, turned in Stoke's first. Barnsley battled hard, but 20 minutes from the end, Sturridge was just too sharp and too clever again. The eventual goalscorer, Mike Sherron, did look several yards offside, but Stoke rode their luck, and they're now up to 4th. Liverpool weren't the only side to get off to a flying start on Sunday. Here's Alan Parry.
A lot of pointing, and finally a shot from Walk, which has produced a marvellous goal. 6 minutes gone, and John Wall turns back the clock with that shot. At the age of 38, the Ipswich player coach gives them a lead in sensational style. Marshall, and the ball breaking loose here for Mason. And surely a goal for Milton. What happened to the Leicester defence? They just fell apart. Rico. This is Mason. Nappy. And Milton again finding room. Ulenbeek. Brilliant play by Ulenbeek. A great ball in for Marshall! It's 3-0! What a disaster for Leicester City. 13 minutes gone, they're 3 behind. Good ball in, and Claridge and Roberts. They have got a goal back.
There we are.
Credit to Lewis as well for his part in it, and the new strike force pays dividend. A little flick by Claridge, Lewis with a marvellous cross. Claridge just touched it on, and Roberts finished it off. Dear me. There's something else, and that could be a penalty. That's a penalty. And John Walk can score his second goal of the game and surely secure the points for Ipswich. But Poole has produced a magnificent save. Some penalties are missed, some produce magnificent goalkeeping, and that falls into the latter category.
What a great save that is.
Now they might get a goal at the other end. Roberts! Yes! Can you believe this game at times? It could have been dead and buried 30 seconds ago for Leicester. Now they've got real hope. Thompson. And Scowcroft won it back. Marshall in a race here with Poole! Marshall wins the race. Ipswich win the match.
I think it was a great advert for the First Division. 6 goals, plenty of goal-mouth action, and against two good teams. Both of us wanted to play football. Both of us got some good players. But the result was important for us today. We leapfrogged them, plus we've got 2 games in hand. So it was important we got a win today.
Both these sides have improved under new management, but Luton were happier with the result. Crystal Palace carried the greater threat and went closest to scoring when Mark Edworthy's cross was headed against the bar by Bruce Dyer. A point each for 2 out-of-form teams. Norwich had looked the better side, but they were behind to one of those worth the admission fee alone goals. Thumped in, on the run, by Southend's master of disguise, Paul Byrne. Norwich persisted with their neat, patient football. Up front, Ashley Ward provided another moment of real quality as he spun away from 2 defenders. Fullback Carl Bradshaw arrived at the far post to equalise. 2 international strikers made the biggest impressions at the New Den. Steve Bull, once of England, still dreams of taking Wolves into the top division. Bull's well-timed run and masterly first-time finish won a match overshadowed by the behaviour of the current Russian international striker Sergei Yuran, who suddenly snapped 3 minutes from the end. Andy Thompson just managed to avoid a dreadful flying lunge. Just to make sure of his red card, Yuran, who could have been playing for Spartak Moscow in the Champions League on Wednesday, followed it all up with a push on Eric Young. Yuran's future at Millwall doesn't look too promising. Howard Kendall has been almost as busy in the transfer market as Barry Fry, and Kendall's new striker, Andy Walker, scored Sheffield United's all-important winner 10 minutes from the end. Oldham's slide is looking ominous. The commentators are Jim Beglin and Gary Bloom.
Aldridge is on the back post. Nevin! And Tranmere lead! A terrific volley by Pat Nevin. Oldham have failed to find the net 7 times in their last 11 games. And they're struggling again this afternoon. Thomas, Nevin. Aldridge! Inevitably, John Aldridge finds a goal for Tranmere Rovers. And that could signal the end for Oldham Athletic in this game.
Well, I think Richard Graham, he's got his head down there and he just got caught out of position. He got underneath the ball, didn't judge the flight of it well at all. And once Nevin delivers it, you'll see it. Richard Graham doesn't get anywhere near it. He's up a bit too early. And when it arrived at John Aldridge's feet, there was always going to be one answer.
An intense period of Oldham pressure was inevitable at some stage of this match. Can they find a goal? Yes, they can! It's Richard Graham who scores.
This result will have delighted the other struggling sides. As the home team, the onus was on West Brom to win the match, especially as Port Vale had defender Alan Tankard sent off just before half-time, by which time West Brom were already a goal up, thanks to Bob Taylor. But just 60 seconds into the second half, the West Brom marking went missing. Steve Guppy and Ray Walker engineered an opening for the ever-improving John McCarthy to score what could prove to be a very significant goal when the relegation places are eventually decided. Reading's determination to stay up was underlined by the signing of Tottenham's Darren Caskey for a record £700,000 in the week. He almost scored with his first touch, a free kick 3 minutes in. But after 2 defeats, Graham Taylor and Luther Blissett have finally won a point. Devon White went closest for Watford, but Bulgarian Bobby Mikhailov had one of his better days in English football. Derby's lead at the top is 6 points. Sunderland's lead in second place is now 5 points. The top two meet at Roker Park next week. Stoke's win over Barnsley lifts them into 4th position. Despite that point at Reading, Watford stays 7 points behind Port Vale, who drew at West Brom. Sheffield United's win lifts them up 4 places. It means Oldham drop into the bottom 4 for the first time. An era ended at Anfield last week with the news that Ian Rush is to be given a free transfer after 14 years, 350 goals and numerous medals. In 1986 it was Rush who clinched Liverpool's League and Cup double at Wembley against Everton.
Here's Jan Molby. For once the touch of Dalglish deserted him. And Reid now sending Lineker into the path of Gary Lineker. And Grobbelaar saves, but not this time. And Everton are in the lead with Lineker. Now Dalglish off in search of something, but downfield there again for Everton. Now Wheeler. They've quickened the pace up now, Liverpool. Now Molby. Now Rush. Yes! 1-1. Chip on towards Lineker. MacDonald in before Heath. Whelan getting it out to Johnston. Here's Rush. Well, delightful again. Molby. Oh, look at the space here now for Whelan. Dalglish is making a run for him. One player's gone tumbling, and it's played across for Rush. That's another one, and that will make it safe for Liverpool, and that will mean, without any doubt at all now, that the League and Cup double will be theirs. Ronnie Whelan past the blue balloon. A chip over the last defender to the man who never fails from that sort of position.
Well, that's it for part one. Coming up, all the news, all the goals and the action from Divisions 2 and 3, and more from the baseball ground. Join us after the break.
Swindon remain on course for an immediate return to Division 1, but they made hard work of this victory despite coasting into a 2-goal lead inside 20 minutes. Ty Gooden, who was facing his former club, gave the league leaders a 3rd-minute breakthrough at Adams Park, and they built on that advantage. Peter Thorne's perfectly judged lob doubled their lead. Swindon were in sight of their 9th away win. They achieved it, but not without a scare or two on the way. Miguel de Souza replied for Wycombe 13 minutes after the break, and in the end, Steve McMahon's team were just happy to hold on. Nothing is going right for managerless Burnley, who've taken 1 point from 7 games and are fading fast. Blackpool, in contrast, can do little wrong. It's 2 defeats in 20 now, Andy Priest settled this Lancashire derby. Rob Edwards was Wrexham's chief tormentor as he netted 2 first-half goals in 6 minutes. Crewe's top scorer was on the end of Steve Garvey's cross. That after 13 minutes. And if he keeps up this sort of scoring rate, Dario Grani's team could be in line for promotion. He made it 2-0 shortly afterwards, making space for himself and then unleashing a low shot wide of keeper Andy Marriott. Wrexham's reply came before the interval. As to their credit, they fought their way back into the match. Wayne Phillips' shot was kept out, but Martin Chalk, following up, was left with a simple task. Rob Edwards completed his hat-trick 5 minutes after the restarts. The hosts paid the penalty for their failure to clear a corner kick. Edwards, who's bang-in form, took the chance well, and Crewe were on course for victory. Tony Humes pulled a goal back 10 minutes from time, but an equaliser proved beyond them, and Crewe hold on to third spot. Hull went down to a goal that should never have counted as Tony Battersby used his hand to control the ball. It went unpunished. Battersby went on to score the winner. Hull's 10th away defeat, and they're rooted at the foot of the table. Chesterfield could yet achieve a second successive promotion. The dream is very much alive. John Howard ensured the maximum points with the only goal of the game after 3 minutes, and they're well placed for the run-in. Joey Beecham has had little to smile about in the last couple of years, but he's settled back in at Oxford, and at Dean Court on Saturday he hit his first league goal for the club since rejoining them from Swindon. It proved enough. Shrewsbury have fallen away badly of late, and their dismal run continued at Fratton Park. They'd only taken 3 points from their last 8 games, but their luck looked to be about to change when Ian Stevens' header flew in. The lead lasted a quarter of an hour. Andy Gurney got in between 2 Shrewsbury defenders to equalise. And Rovers' winner came from a penalty, with Marcus Stewart slotting home his 25th goal of a highly successful season, 16 minutes from time. Another damaging home defeat for Carlisle, and at this rate they'll be playing third division football next season. Substitute Paul Ware claimed his first goal since early October, beautifully executed. They'll have to find some consistency though if they're to figure in the playoffs. A Nigel Pepper penalty gave York City the initiative. It came on 11 minutes, but Nicky Mohan struck twice for Bradford before the break. Both came from corners, and both exposed the visitors' defensive frailties. His second goal was more clear-cut, as York's marking again left a lot to be desired. 18-year-old Richard Cresswell came to their rescue with his first league goal to salvage a point for York. To the bench for Swansea against Bristol City, commentary from Hugh Johns.
Ampadu is in a bit of bother now, covering the clearing. Chappell down. Chappell again. Tries one. Yes! What a goal! Sean Chappell! You can see the penalty spot. He still hasn't got him back 10 yards. Mulvey! Yes! Oh! Straight through! Oh! 2-0! A most outstanding day for Swansea City at the moment. Though I do remember that there was an occasion. Oh! It's an own goal! It's an own goal! Walker! Oh gosh! Total disaster!
Carl Lightbourne proved the difference as Walsall found some winning form at last. A defensive mix-up allowed him to steal in for his first midway through the first half. The joy was short-lived. 4 minutes later, Rotherham were level. Andy Roscoe's cross was met by the head of Nigel Jemson. Walsall, though, were the better side after the interval, and 17 minutes from the end, they were back in front. Chris Marsh's low centre was forced in by the unmarked Kevin Wilson. Lightbourne made the game safe with his second goal in the very final minutes. Keeper Matthew Clark failed to clear. Lightbourne drove his shot into an unguarded net. Brighton couldn't break down an improving Brentford side at the Goldstone grounds, and they were forced to settle for a point in a match that finished goalless.
No change in the leading positions. The top 7 teams all won, so there's still that 6-point gap between Crewe in 3rd and Notts County in 4th. Stockport move above Wrexham. Swansea's first win under Jan Molby lifts them up to 21st. They have played more games than the sides around them, but Walsall were the only other team in the bottom half to win. They go above Brentford. Sunderland have boosted their promotion push by signing Liverpool's midfielder Paul Stewart until the end of the season. West Bromwich Albion hope to sign Bolton's midfielder Richard Schneekers. They've offered £400,000. And Barry Fry has been busy again. His striker Gary Bull has moved to 2nd Division York City, whose top scorer Paul Barnes moves to St Andrews in a straight swap deal.
Gillingham still top the table despite this defeat at home park. Plymouth manager Neil Warnock called it a fantastic result. The only goal of the game came 20 minutes from time. Martin Barlow converting Adrian Littlejohn's cross to maintain Plymouth's position among the chasing pack. With the leader slipping up, Preston could have moved level on points, but they were surprisingly beaten at home. A crowd of just short of 10,000 was silenced as early as the 2nd minute when Rochdale striker Steve Whitehall registered his 20th goal of the campaign. Preston recovered their composure, and the club's leading marksman Andy Saville made it all square when he nodded in Dean Barrack's centre. Rochdale weren't to be outdone, and 6 minutes before the break, Whitehall's persistence set up the winner for Mark Stewart, and Rochdale went on to claim an unlikely victory at Deepdale. Darlington were able to narrow the gap on the top 2. They may be the poor relations of North East neighbours Middlesbrough, but they're going about their business in a quiet and effective manner. Player coach Gary Bannister took 8 minutes to break the deadlock. Darren Moore then won his aerial tussle with the visiting keeper to head Doncaster level. But it was Robbie Blake who had the final say with a spectacular winning goal in the second half to give Darlington maximum points. Chester, who dropped out of the top 3 for the first time since August, handed a footballing lesson to Cardiff, who found themselves on the end of a 4-0 hammering. Ross Davidson, on loan from Sheffield United, was first to strike. And 4 minutes before half-time, they made it 2-0. Chris Priest started and finished the move. With the Cardiff defence carved open, Priest was presented with a simple chance. When Damon Searle handled Kevin Noteman's corner, Dave Rogers put the penalty away in style, and it was left for Stuart Rimmer to round off the scoring late on to complete a resounding victory. This was Bury's 3rd consecutive win, and they're right back in the promotion picture. Rob Matthews was brought down in full flight, and Mark Carter took his tally to 7 goals in 6 games as he converted a spot kick. He's now the club's joint top scorer. Bury, who've lost the Wembley playoff, are aiming for an automatic promotion spot this time round, and on this form you'd bet against them at your peril. Letting John Rose's glancing header gave them a 2-goal cushion. And if that wasn't enough, skipper David Pugh capped a fine team display with the 3rd. He seized on to Nicky Reed's through ball, kept going, had the bidding of the keeper, and Scunthorpe's misery was complete. Cambridge, without a win in 9 games, fell behind early on at Springfield Park. Paul Rayner found Isidro Diaz too hot to handle. Rayner's challenge resulted in a penalty, and Roberto Martinez made it all look so simple. Diaz's trickery had created the penalty from which Wigan went in front, and it was his centre that led to their 2nd, scored by Kevin Sharp. A minute later, Cambridge hit back with Jody Craddock first to react to Paul Rayner's corner. If the result was in doubt, Jamie Barnwell Edinburgh killed the game off with Wigan's 3rd, and they've consolidated their position in the higher reaches of the table. Orient manager Pat Holland has conceded defeat in their bid to make the playoffs. There was never any doubt about the penalty awarded against them. Tony Adcock made it count to guarantee Colchester a 4th away win. Hereford's Tony James has spent a year on the sidelines with a knee injury, but he's not lost his sense of timing. He headed the winner in the closing minutes. Barnet boss Ray Clements was less than happy with his team's performance at lowly Mansfield, where he saw his side fall behind to a Warren Hackett tap-in 7 minutes after the restart. And worse was to follow, as Mark Peters added a second. Linvoy Primus managed the last-minute consolation for Barnet, but anything more would have been a travesty of justice. Hartlepool aren't the best travellers, but they found Scarborough in generous mood as they went ahead against the run of play through Paul Conlon's headed goal. Stuart Hicks' free kick combined power and accuracy, hit with real venom. It handed the home side a lifeline. But with just 8 minutes left, Paul Conlon escaped the attentions of the Scarborough defence, and his clinical finish gave Hartlepool a rare away success. Fulham slipped back into old ways just when it seemed they'd found an escape route from the danger zone. Lincoln striker Gareth Ainsworth destroyed them with 2 goals in the opening 12 minutes. Fulham's new player manager Mickey Adams has been the man behind the club's revival, but Ainsworth was intent on carrying out a one-man demolition job. At least Rodney Macquarie, who's signed for Fulham from Bristol City until the end of this season, cut the arrears with his first goal for the club on the half-hour mark. But the damage had already been done, and Fulham were beaten. To play more for Torquay's meeting with Exeter, commentary from Martin Dean.
Buckle and Bailey there with the free kick, and I suspect it will be Buckle to take it. Aimed in towards Bradbury, who just gets a flick on it, it's gone in! Lee Bradbury gets the goal! Now been trying to find Braithwaite, who does well to get away from Kelly. What's the referee going to give here? That's a penalty kick. So Cooper against Newland, can he put it away? Newland just letting the ball slide under his body in the end. Mark Cooper gets the goal.
Gillingham and Preston still have work to do. They both lost, while the 6 teams below them all won. Darlington stay in that 3rd automatic promotion place. Gillingham play Preston next Saturday. Lincoln City's win at Fulham lifts John Beck's side up 3 places, but Torquay United are now 12 points behind the rest. OK, well, I think the Derby County players might be getting their hands on a bit more champagne come the end of the season. Man of the match this weekend, Paul Simpson. Paul, 19 games now, this unbeaten run, and you're away at the top. It is looking good now, isn't it?
It looks great for us at the moment. We're in a hell of a position. Unfortunately, the most important games are the ones coming up between now and the end of the season. We've got to do the job right between now and then, and hopefully everything else will follow into place, and as you say, maybe more champagne for the rest of the lads.
Did you envisage at the start of the season, I mean, you were there when you went so close in that playoff season a couple of years ago, terrible disappointment, so did you envisage the lead that you might have at the start of the season?
No, not at all. When Jim Smith came in, the talk was of getting a decent position this season and then possibly next year going for promotion then. There were so many changes made at the early part of the season, with new players coming in, players leaving. All the talk of these wonder players, £1 million players that we've signed, they were all leaving the club. So we were just looking to get a decent position this year, and we've surprised ourselves really. and now we've just got to keep it going, and hopefully there'll be a good reward for us at the end of the year.
I must ask you about the cult hero here, there's no doubt about it, Igor Stimac. What's that all about? Fantastic player, but also a fantastically popular player.
That's right, he's come in with a hell of a build-up from Jim Smith, and he hasn't disappointed
He's lived
anybody.
up to it.
He has lived up to it. He's been outstanding in most of the games for us, and he's a hell of a character as well. He comes over and he tries to make out he doesn't understand a lot of things, but I think he's clever with it, and he knows exactly what he wants. He knows what he wants to do, and he's showing the fans that week in, week out that he can do it.
It's funny how it works, isn't it? Because, I mean, I think your career maybe at Derby last season was going through a rough patch. Now you're back as well.
Yeah, it's been through a rough patch this year. I've started the season and I've been in and out on 1 or 2 games, and I got back in 5 games ago, and if we can keep winning and I can keep popping the goals in, hopefully I'll stay until the end of the season, and you know, we can get a good reward out of it.
Well, good luck. Thanks very much indeed. OK, enjoy the Champions League football this week. We're back next Monday night. See you then. Bye-bye.
And Football Extra next week is at the earlier time of midnight.
Thank you.